My mom stole my identity to date my ex, now they are getting married Part 2. Chapter 8, I got drunk and made out with a stranger in a bar bathroom. If you've ever been so emotionally ruined that your best coping strategy is tequila and eyeliner, then congratulations, you already understand where my head was at that night. After the proposal heard round the internet, I needed to get out. Out of the house. Out of my own thoughts. Out of this twisted soap opera I never auditioned for. So I let Rachel drag me to this grimy little bar 2 towns over. It was one of those places where the neon signs flickered like they were about to die, the floor was permanently sticky, and every drink came with a side of poor decisions. Perfect. I wore a black crop top, red lipstick, and my absolute worst intentions. The moment I walked in, I didn't even pretend to care. I ordered a double shot of tequila, skipped the lime, and threw it back like I was trying to burn the last few weeks out of my bloodstream. Rachel leaned in. Tonight, you're not Ava the daughter. You're Ava the hot girl who ruins other people's lives. Challenge accepted. That's when I saw him. Nico. Or at least that's what I'd find out later. In the moment, all I saw was tall, tattooed, leaning against the wall like he was allergic to light, and sculpted by someone who clearly had a grudge against fathers and shirts. He had messy black hair, an eyebrow piercing, and cheekbones so sharp I swear they could cut through emotional baggage. He caught me looking. I didn't look away. In fact, I walked straight up to him and said the first thing that came to my mind. If you don't kiss me tonight, I'm going to scream. He blinked once. Then smiled, this slow, wicked grin that said, challenge also accepted. 5 minutes later, we were at the bar ordering shots together. 10 minutes after that, we were in a booth, whispering just a little too closely. 15 minutes in, I told him everything. The fake Instagram. The lingerie. The beach photo dump. The live proposal with my ring. He didn't laugh. He didn't recoil. He just looked at me with this intense, unreadable expression and said, "You want to forget, or do you want to get even?" I don't even remember what I said. I just know that 2 songs later, he grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the hallway near the bathrooms. The world blurred. The bathroom was disgusting. Flickering light. One mirror cracked right down the middle. And in the middle of it all, us. Making out like we were the last 2 people on earth and the building was on fire. I remember the taste of whiskey and salt. The feel of his hands in my hair. His breath against my neck as he whispered, "You're not crazy." They are. It was reckless. Stupid. Messy. And exactly what I needed. We didn't sleep together. Not that night. But we may as well have. Because when I stumbled out of that bathroom, half drunk and completely disoriented, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Power. And then, it vanished. Because when Rachel asked me, "Who was that?" I froze. My smile dropped. My heart stopped. I turned around to look for him, but Nico was gone. Like a ghost. No number. No full name. Not even a last initial. All I had was his first name, a half-remembered tattoo of a broken hourglass, and the taste of revenge still on my lips. I laughed it off that night. Whatever. Just a hot stranger. But deep down, I knew the truth. You don't meet men like that by accident. And I had a terrible feeling I hadn't seen the last of him. Chapter 9, Mom starts dressing like me in public, and people think we're twins. At first, I thought I was hallucinating. I was in line at Starbucks, minding my own business, when I heard it. Wait, isn't that Ava? My ears perked up. I turned, expecting to see someone I knew. Instead, I saw two college girls glued to their phones, watching a TikTok on full volume. One of them said, "No, that's her mom." Or, "Wait. Is it?" I froze. I walked over casually, like I wasn't already sweating. I peeked over her shoulder. And there she was. My mother. In my green corset top. My faux leather pants. My chunky platform boots. The outfit I wore on New Year's Eve 2 months ago, the one Jake said made me look like trouble. And she had the audacity to caption it. "Still getting carded at 48 #Forever 21 energy." The TikTok had over 200k views. Thousands of comments. "She looks better than me and I'm 22. No way she's her mom. MILF of the year TBH. Are we sure that's not the daughter? Plot twist, they are twins. And the worst one. #mother or daughter." That hashtag, #mother or daughter, started trending. People were stitching the video, arguing over who was who. Some guy said, "Whichever one is single, call me." Another said, "Honestly, I don't care which one, they can both ruin my life." I wanted to crawl out of my own skin. This wasn't just a weird little phase anymore. This was a full-blown identity takeover. And the public was eating it up. The next day, my inbox exploded. People sending me the videos. Brands I had worked with messaging me like, "Love your mom's content. Can we collab with you both?" Even an email from a freaking skincare brand offering to send us matching PR boxes. And the thing is, she was loving it. She posted daily now. She mimicked my poses. Used the same filters. Even started using my old captions, word for word. She recreated a video I did last year, the one that got me on the Explore page. Same song. Same outfit. Same camera angle. She even filmed it in my room. And guess what? Her version went more viral. She passed 100,000 followers in 5 days. She started doing GRWMs, get ready with me, with my old products, holding them up like, "This is Ava's favorite blush, but I think it looks better on me," face throwing a kiss. She even filmed one with Jake in the background, shirtless, brushing his teeth. My ex. In my room. I couldn't take it. I called her. She answered on the first ring, sounding positively giddy. "Ava. Did you see the collage deal? They are sending me to LA next month. I lost it. Stop using my name." She paused for a beat. Then said, "Sweetheart, you gave up your identity the moment you stopped appreciating it. I'm just making the most of what you wasted." I hung up. I sat in my room, scrolling through her videos, watching the likes climb, the comments pile up, the brand deals roll in. She wasn't just copying me anymore. She had become an upgraded version of me. The internet didn't know the difference. They didn't care. She was younger than her age, hotter than expected, and more confident than I'd ever been allowed to be. And I was fading. But then, something strange happened. One comment popped up under one of her videos. "Isn't this the chick who dated her daughter's ex?" And another. "This whole account feels like a cover-up," and then, "This is giving identity theft vibes. Where's the real Ava?" A tiny crack in the mirror. I felt my lips curl into a smile. If she wanted to become me so badly, then she could also feel the pressure of my name going up in flames. Because the internet loves a star. But it lives for a scandal. And I was about to give them one they'd never forget. Chapter 10, I get a letter from a lawyer. My mom is suing me for defamation. So here's the thing. I had been quiet. Too quiet. For too long. While my mother stole my clothes, my followers, my past, while she let the world fawn over her glow up like she was some inspirational age-defying icon, I said nothing. But then one night, after a particularly vile TikTok where she literally lip-synced to a sound I created, I snapped. I opened my notes app, and I wrote everything. The full story. How she used my pictures to catfish my ex. How she wormed her way into his bed by pretending to be me. How she started dressing like me, speaking like me, living like she was me. And how she then convinced the entire internet that I was the villain. I wasn't going to sit in the shadows anymore. I posted the story as a carousel on Instagram. 9 slides. Black text on a white background. No drama, no emojis. Just truth. I captioned it. This is what it looks like when your own mother wants to become you. And she's willing to destroy you to do it. It exploded. Within 3 hours, it had over 60,000 likes. Hundreds of comments pouring in. WTF did I just read? This is some lifetime level trauma. Wait, is this the daughter everyone's been talking about? I knew something was off with the mom. Expose her. People were starting to turn. Influencers messaged me. A podcast invited me to speak. Even a YouTube channel called Toxic Family Files did a full 17-minute breakdown of the situation. I thought that would be it. I thought finally, people saw the truth. But oh no. The next morning, I got an email. Subject line, cease and desist defamation and emotional distress, re, M.L. Bennett. I opened it, hands trembling. It was a PDF. 5 pages long. From a real law firm. With a real signature. Claiming I had deliberately defamed my mother on a public platform. Caused her emotional distress. Misrepresented facts in a harmful and misleading way. And had made malicious statements born from jealousy and psychological instability. The document also contained this actual quote from her legal claim. My daughter has always been resentful of my youthfulness, confidence, and ability to attract people she cannot hold on to. I am a survivor of her constant insecurity. I read it 3 times. She was framing herself as the victim. Claiming I was the jealous one. That I was lashing out because she had finally found love. I nearly threw up. There was even a demand. Delete the post. Issue a public apology. Or face civil action. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Instead, I sat down and reread the PDF line by line, and something cracked open inside me. Because here's the kicker. In trying to silence me, she made one fatal mistake, she put it in writing. Now I had receipts. Official, legal proof that she was aware of the story. Acknowledging the relationship. And doubling down on her insane victim narrative. So I did what any emotionally damaged daughter on the verge of a nervous breakdown would do. I printed the lawsuit. Framed it. And posted a photo of it on Instagram. Caption. She says I'm unstable. I say I learn from the best. See you in court, Mom. The post went even more viral than my first. #sued by mom started trending. People were making reaction videos. One guy stitched my post and said, "This woman raised her daughter like a mirror, then sued her for not liking the reflection." My DMs were a war zone. Some called me brave. Others called me bitter. But none of them looked away. Because the world wasn't just watching a mother and daughter feud. They were watching a full-blown identity heist unravel in real time. And the best part? I was finally back in control of the narrative. But I knew my mom. She wasn't going to let this be her downfall. She was going to hit back hard. And next time, it wouldn't just be legal. It would be personal. Chapter 11, My dad shows up after 15 years and chooses her. I hadn't spoken to my dad in 15 years. He left when I was 8. No note, no goodbye, just poof, gone like a magician mid-trick who never comes back for the final bow. Growing up, I told myself I didn't care. That he wasn't worth my grief. But when you've been sued by your own mother for defamation because she's publicly dating your ex-boyfriend, you start to reevaluate who counts as family support. So yeah. I called him. His number was still buried in my phone under Don't Call, seriously, ... But I did it. I don't know what I was expecting. Probably voicemail. Or a disconnected line. But he answered. Hello. His voice. Gravelly. Older. Shockingly calm. Like 15 years of radio silence hadn't just been shattered by the sound of his only daughter on the verge of a breakdown. I choked. It's me. It's Ava. Silence. Then, oh my God. Ava. He sounded like he'd seen a ghost. And for a second, I thought maybe this was it. The moment everything turns around. The prodigal father. The dramatic reunion. The emotional support I've been craving while my mother tries to become me and my ex turns into her boy toy. We talked for 3 hours. I cried. He apologized. I told him everything, the fake Instagram account, the live proposal, the defamation lawsuit. He was horrified. Also I thought. I'm coming, he said. I'll be there by morning. You shouldn't have to face this alone. I hung up feeling like a boulder had been lifted off my chest. Finally, someone on my side. So when he showed up the next morning, suitcase in hand and flowers in the other, I thought maybe I was dreaming. He hugged me so tightly I nearly collapsed. Said I'd grown into a beautiful woman. Said he missed everything and regretted it all. And for a full 5 minutes, it felt like I had a parent again. Then, she walked in. My mother. Wearing a silk robe that was very much not hers, and somehow, still had her makeup fully done at 9 a.m., like she was expecting a camera crew to walk in behind him. Their eyes met. I expected a war. A fight. A screaming match. What I did not expect was that look. That slow smile. That flicker of recognition. My dad's mouth actually dropped open. He looked her up and down and said, with the biggest, most ridiculous, most pervy grin. You haven't aged a day. I almost died. My mother smirked. Oh, stop, she said, flipping her hair. But thank you. I stood there. Invisible. Forgotten. Betrayed. Again. He walked toward her like he was in a goddamn Nicholas Sparks movie. I wanted to vomit. And the kicker? An hour later, Rachel texted me. Your mom and some silver fox just walked into Le Petit on 3rd. They are holding hands. They were on a date. A date. A date. The man who hadn't seen me since I was in braces had spent exactly 45 minutes reuniting with me. Before taking the woman who sued me out to brunch. I texted him, no response. Called him, voicemail. By 5 p.m., he posted a photo on Facebook, yes, Facebook, of him and my mother cheersing mimosas with the caption, "Some things are worth a second chance." I stared at that screen for 5 minutes, mouth wide open. Second chance. She ruined his daughter's life and he was offering her a redemption arc? I was unwell. Actually physically unwell. Rachel showed up at my door with wine, ice cream, and a small box of matches just in case we need to burn this house to the ground. I asked her if it was possible to be disowned by both parents at the same time while still technically living in the same zip code. She said, apparently it is when your mom's a seductive demon and your dad's an idiot with a midlife crisis. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just muttered, "What's next? Is she going to date my prom date too?" Rachel paused. Wait. Isn't your prom date a real estate agent now? No. Nope. Too real. I decided then and there, no more reaching out. No more hoping for a savior. No more family. This war was now solo. And if my mother thought she could keep seducing her way through my bloodline, she was about to learn what happens when you back the original Ava into a corner. Chapter 12, Mom tells me she's pregnant, and the baby might be his. I should have known brunch would be a trap. It started with a text. Mom, brunch. Just us girls. I want to reset, no drama, I promise. I stared at my screen for 10 minutes before responding. My therapist said I should be open to rebuilding fractured boundaries. My gut said I should burn my phone and move to a forest. But against every ounce of common sense, I said yes. We met at this overpriced little garden cafe that looks like Pinterest threw up on it, string lights, succulents, fresh lavender in the lemon water. The type of place influencers pose it with captions like blessed and brunching. She was already there when I arrived. Perfectly made up. Wearing a pastel silk dress that looked like it belonged on a 22-year-old influencer, not a 48-year-old identity thief. She stood up to hug me, air-kissed both cheeks, then sat down like she hadn't completely detonated my life. I was seconds away from flipping the entire table, but she beat me to the punch, with a smile and one casual, stomach-churning sentence. So, I think I might be pregnant. I choked on my water. What? She giggled, like we were sharing a fun little secret. I'm late, she said, swirling her mimosa. And I've been so nauseous lately. And sensitive. She actually rested her hand on her stomach, all soft and maternal. I blinked. Once. Twice. You're kidding? Please tell me you're kidding. She sipped her drink. I mean, I haven't taken a test yet. But you know your body. And mine is saying, something's cooking. I nearly fell out of my chair. Then I asked the question that was screaming inside me. Who's the father, Mom? She raised an eyebrow, leaned back, and, I swear to God, said. Honestly? Could be Jake. Could be your dad. Who knows? Who knows? She said it like she was guessing who ordered the bottomless fries. Like this was a cute mystery to solve with a Pinterest board and a baby shower hashtag. My whole body went ice cold. You slept with both of them, I whispered. She didn't answer. She just picked up her mimosa, toasted the air, and took a slow sip, the most evil sip in brunch history. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, like her body was rejecting the sentence she'd just spoken aloud, she turned to the side, grabbed the champagne bucket from the next table, and puked directly into it. The entire cafe stopped. Forks. Knives. Conversations. Music. Everything froze. And there she was, bent over a bucket filled with half-melted ice cubes and fresh mimosa foam, violently vomiting while clutching her stomach. Someone at the next table gasped. The waitress whispered, "Is she okay?" I wanted to scream, "No. She's pregnant with her grandson or stepson depending on how this all shakes out." But instead, I just sat there, silently dissociating while my mother heaved like a demon in a Zara dress. When she finally stopped, She wiped her mouth delicately with a linen napkin, smiled like nothing had happened, and said, "Hormones. You know how it is." "No, mother. I do not know how it is when you're possibly carrying your ex-boyfriend's child, or your ex-husband's." The waitress tried to offer help. My mom waved her off, then looked at me with this terrifying glint in her eye. "Wouldn't it be wild if they both wanted to raise the baby?" I stood up. Left money on the table. Didn't say a word. I walked to my car shaking, sweating, and on the verge of either blacking out or calling the police on my own DNA. I sat there, gripping the wheel, staring out at the lavender garden and string lights, and whispered, "She's going to have a baby. And I might be its sister. Or aunt. Or stepsister aunt hybrid from hell. And the worst part? The internet was going to eat it up. Because this family wasn't just dysfunctional anymore. It was medically questionable." Chapter 13, The wedding planning begins, and I'm the maid of honor. After the brunch from hell and the possibility that I might soon be related to my own sibling child via a woman who catfished my ex, I did what any semi-rational human would do. I blocked her on everything. Instagram, Facebook, Venmo, even Duolingo. I didn't want that Al reminding her to learn Spanish with Ava. But the silence didn't last. Because 5 days later, I got a handwritten envelope in the mail. Pink. Glittery. Reeking of Chanel No. 5 and delusion. It was a wedding invitation. Cream cardstock, gold foil, disgustingly elegant. In swirly script. "You are cordially invited to the union of Margaret L. Bennett and Jacob Rivers." Yes. My mother. And my ex. Then, in smaller letters, underneath, "Maid of honor, Ava Marie Bennett, bride's daughter." I stared at the card like it might explode. She had already printed the invites, with my name on them, without even asking me. I was ready to set the whole mailbox on fire. But the next morning, she showed up at my apartment. Like, full-on showed up. Unannounced. Holding coffee. Wearing white. Again. Always white. She knocked. Smiled. Waited like we were two girlfriends just grabbing brunch. I didn't even say hello. "You put me on the invitation," I snapped. She blinked innocently. "Well, obviously. You're my daughter. You sued me last month. And now I'm giving you a platform." I laughed. "A platform to stand behind you while you marry my ex with your possibly incestuous fetus in your womb." She didn't even flinch. Instead, she stepped inside and sat down on my couch like it was her own throne. "Ava, I don't want to fight. This wedding is important. Symbolic. Healing. Healing." I hissed. "You're marrying the man who broke my heart while pretending to be me." She put her coffee down. "Exactly. Don't you want to reclaim your story? Be a part of it? Show people you're mature enough to move on?" I just stared. Then she added, like it was the final touch on a masterstroke, "Besides, if you're not in the wedding, people might think you're bitter." There it was. The psychological nuke. She wasn't asking me to participate. She was cornering me. Setting me up to either look like a jealous, hysterical villain, or a graceful, evolved daughter who had risen above it all. And the worst part? She knew exactly what she was doing. So I did the only thing that made sense in that moment of pure emotional warfare. I said yes. I agreed to be the maid of honor. Not because I wanted to. But because if I didn't, she'd control the story. And I'd already lost too much. But the final insult? A week later, I showed up for the first dress fitting. The bridal shop was saccharine and nauseating, all blush tones, fake marble, and champagne flutes with bride tribe etched on them. A tall, skinny stylist handed me a garment bag and said with a wink, "You're gonna look angelic in this." I unzipped it. It was white. Not ivory. Not champagne. Snow. Blinding. Pure. White. I stared at her. "There's been a mistake. I'm not the bride." The stylist laughed. "Oh, your mom requested it specifically. Said she wanted her girls to feel like goddesses. Said white's youthful on you." My mouth went dry. I put it on, half numb, and walked out of the dressing room. There were mirrors everywhere. And when I saw myself, I gasped. Because I looked just like her. Like I was her again. Like I had been sucked back into the same skin she'd been stealing from me all along. I turned to leave. But before I could, I saw a notification on the stylist's phone, propped up behind the counter. It was a text. From M. It said, "Make sure it's tighter in the waist. She needs to look smaller next to me." She was still comparing us. Still designing my humiliation, even down to the measurements. That's when I realized. This wedding wasn't about love. It wasn't about Jake. Or closure. Or new beginnings. It was a stage. And I was the final prop. And she was dressing me in white because she wanted everyone to see. She didn't just take my man. She didn't just take my name. She took my identity. And made me her understudy. Chapter 14, I find out who Nico really is. After agreeing to be maid of honor in my mother's psychological thriller of a wedding, I needed a reason not to jump into a volcano. And somehow, that reason was Nico. Mystery man. Tattooed muse. My one little slice of chaos that felt like mine. He texted when he wanted to see me. Never pushed. Never asked about Jake, or the wedding, or the lawsuit. Just, drinks tonight. Or, you need air. Let me ruin your night in a good way. And honestly, I let him. We were reckless. Wild. Borderline feral in hotel rooms and dive bars and dark alley corners. He was a fantasy, carved cheekbones, low voice, eyes like midnight with a hangover. And I clung to him like a cigarette I knew would ruin my lungs, but goddamn it felt good anyway. But then came the night it all shattered. We were in his apartment. Low lights. No music. Just post-hookup glow and half a bottle of tequila left to kill. I was lying on his chest, tracing the outline of a faded tattoo just above his ribs, a broken hourglass with a name underneath it. M.B. I laughed. What's that stand for? Mostly bad decisions. He tensed. Just for a second. Barely noticeable, unless you were laying on top of him, listening to his heartbeat skip like a guilty metronome. Just, someone from my past, he said. I didn't push it. Until I saw the photo. It was face down on his desk. Just a plain, printed 4x6, tucked under a stack of books. I pulled it out casually. And nearly dropped it. Because staring back at me, younger, wilder, with bleached hair and a leather jacket, was my mother. And wrapped around her waist like a man who had nothing to lose. Nico. I went cold. What is this? I asked. He sat up slowly. Silent. Caught. Nico, I said again, this time sharper. Why do you have a picture of you and my mother looking like two inmates on parole night? He rubbed his face. Ava. I didn't know how to tell you. My blood started pounding in my ears. Tell me what? He looked at me, and for the first time, he looked terrified. Your mom and I, We were together. Years ago. A long time ago. Before I cleaned up. How long? 6 months. On and off. Inside. Inside. It took me a second. And then it hit me like a shovel to the chest. You dated my mother. In prison? He nodded. I staggered back like he'd punched me. Are you kidding me? Are you? Is this a joke? He stood up, hands raised. It was over a decade ago. We met in a rehab program inside. I was 19. She was fiery. 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 She told me she had a daughter, he said quietly. But she never showed me pictures. I didn't even know your name until you said it that night at the bar. I stared at him. Betrayed. Humiliated. Shaking. And then when you did know, I snapped. When you put 2 and 2 together and realized I was her daughter, why didn't you run? Why didn't you tell me? Why did you keep going? He looked me dead in the eye. Because I hated what she did to me. And to you. And at first, yeah, I wanted revenge. But then I met you. And I realized. I actually care. I was silent. Every cell in my body was screaming. Every part of me wanted to throw a chair through the window. To grab his leather jacket, light it on fire, and send a flaming message straight to the universe. Stop giving me men who slept with my mother. I trusted you, I whispered. You were supposed to be different. He stepped toward me. Ava, no. I grabbed my bag and stormed out. Out the door, out of the building, out of whatever delusion I had built around Nico, the mysterious savior. He wasn't a savior. He was another ghost from my mother's twisted history, one who crawled back up through the floorboards and put his mouth on mine. And now? Now I had no one. No boyfriend. No father. No mother. And no mystery man. Just the growing, horrifying realization that my mom wasn't just haunting my present. She had infected my past too. Chapter 15, I start getting threatening letters from someone called the real bride. It started small. Almost harmless. I woke up one morning to a pale pink envelope shoved under my door. No postage. No return address. Inside was a single note, handwritten, cursive, unnervingly neat. She stole your face. Don't let her steal your life. The real bride. I stared at it for a long time. Was it a joke? A prank from one of the internet trolls who'd latched onto the circus that was now my life? I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash. 2 days later, another letter. This time, taped to my mirror. I hadn't let anyone into my apartment. I checked every lock, every window, every hinge. Nothing was broken. Nothing looked touched. But there it was, staring at me through my reflection. She's wearing your smile now. But she can't fake your blood. The real bride. I felt a chill snake down my spine. This wasn't just someone mocking me. This was someone watching me. I called Rachel. Told her everything. She came over that night, brought wine and a baseball bat. I swear to God, she said, if someone tries to pull a pretty little lies on you, I will end them. We laughed nervously, like scared girls pretending to be brave. She stayed the night. I locked every door. Every window. Still, the next morning, there was a new letter. This time, there was no note. Just a photo. Of me. Sleeping. In my own bed. Hair a mess, mouth half open, one arm curled under the pillow. Taken from the corner of the room, like someone had stood there, silently watching me breathe. I dropped it. My hands went numb. Whoever this was, they weren't just sending cryptic threats. They'd been in my apartment while I was asleep. I called the police. They were polite. Filed a report. Told me to get security cameras and try not to engage. When I asked about fingerprinting the letter, they said, that's only for active threats or court cases. Right. Because waking up to stalker photos isn't active enough. I bought 3 cameras the same day. One in the living room, one by the window, and one pointed directly at my bed. For a while, it was quiet. No new notes. No photos. I started breathing again. Maybe whoever this was got bored. Moved on. Then, 1 week before the wedding, a package arrived. Wrapped in white lace ribbon. No return address. I opened it slowly, dread rising like smoke. Inside. A printed wedding invitation, almost identical to the original one my mom had sent. But instead of Margaret and Jacob on the front, it said, "The wedding of Ava Marie Bennett and Jacob Rivers." My name. My ex. My mother's wedding. But with me as the bride. And on the back, another note. Handwritten, sharp and aggressive. You were supposed to be the bride. You let her take everything. Why are you still letting her live your life? The real bride. I felt like I couldn't breathe. This wasn't a fan. This wasn't some internet troll. This was someone who thought I deserved to be in my mother's place. Someone who thought I had been replaced, and they wanted to undo it. By any means necessary. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room, lights on, baseball bat in hand, staring at the front door. Rachel begged me to stay at her place. I refused. I needed to know if they'd come back. Because the real bride wasn't just leaving letters anymore. They were building a story. A plan. And I had a sick feeling I wasn't the only one on their list. If I didn't figure out who they were, and fast, someone was going to get hurt.
They lied. They cheated. They betrayed the one person who gave them everything. But guess what? The truth always finds a voice, and here, it screams. If you live for chaos, loyalty gone wrong, and revenge served cold. Like this video. Drop a comment. And hit subscribe, because on Family Drama Unleashed, we don't forgive, and we never forget. Tap that bell, because the next betrayal, it's already on its way.